So
Just
we're
It
talking
doesn't sound
about the
extravagant.
same size as cost as a spa.
yeah,
Right,
yeah. And the thing is, how much does your house cost?
right,
Yeah.
How many houses can you subdivide with $2,880?
right.
You know, how many times does 3,000 go into a $500,000?
Now,
And how
who-
long does it take us to rebuild the forest?
Right.
And how much money do we spend on mountain lions
Yep.
intruding
The
in
thing is,
backyards?
who
and
doesn't
bears?
get it?
Yeah.
Who doesn't get it?
Well, the ones that don't get it are the ones that have to say, sorry, we haven't
Spend
got
the money, yeah.
So that's why I'm reaching out more to the wildlife groups. I've been in discussions with Quail Unlimited, which is an outfit that's nationwide that has dip tank, well, not dip tanks, but water tanks up there already, small ones, 500 gallon. They have a few of them scattered around. I talked to their Western Regional Director, who right now, at this very moment, is addressing their San Gabriel Valley chapters. He wanted to watch the show tonight, but he couldn't because he's having
I'm
a meeting
sure
at
we'll
this time.
get it taped to him.
Oh, yes. And so, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, and so he said, this sounds like a tremendous idea. He says we can probably bring in a couple of other wildlife organizations to help on the funding, figuring out all this stuff, how it's going to work. So there's a Mule Deer Association, there's a California Deer Association.
That's
These
wonderful.
are wildlife organizations that try to maintain the area that they conserve
And
the
would the
area.
Conservancy be interested?
I'm sure they would.
I'm sure the Foothill Conservancies, you know, Altadena has been very progressive.
Yeah.
Sierra Madre
Yep.
in trying to implement things that make that a better habitat and a better. Let's see who we've got here.
Ah, okay.
This is Glendora Perspective. Do you have a comment?
Yes, I'd just like to ask a question.
Sure.
On funding these dip tanks, what would be the problem of approaching insurance companies? They're the ones that stand to lose more money, and it would sure cost a lot less to fund a few dip tanks than it would to pay off some of these losses they've had. I'll listen off the air.
Thank
you.
Outstanding idea.
Right,
Yeah.
yes.
And the other thing is AIG, I don't think a lot of people realize this, but during the Sun Valley fires up in that area in Idaho, they actually brought in their own privately hired fire engine to help out to protect the homes. So they were foaming the homes, putting a protective coating around the homes, multi-million-dollar homes up there, to protect their clients. And the clients thought it was great, and I'm sure it's going to get AIG a lot more business.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Hi, you're on Glendora Perspective. Do you have a comment?
Yes. For the gentleman, whatever happened to the cloud seeding program?
They found out that they were causing more damage than good, and so what they decided to do was go back to square one and think about it. At the moment, they're looking at the DC-10 in a different way of where they could do a high altitude drop at about 10,000 feet with gel type retardant and cool down the area in much the same way that you would want to do with cloud seeding, where you would try to start rain.
Well, I think years ago they used generators up along the forest area, and that was some chemical. But then from the air, they used granulated dry ice that cooled the clouds and added to the moisture.
Yeah, they've thought about that. The problem is you have to have a certain minimum moisture for that to work. Whereas if you use the DC-10, you can have very dry air and suddenly raise the humidity, because it can drop 12,000 gallons at a shot, and at about 10,000 feet it has a cooling effect on the air. It's something they're experimenting with on paper at the moment.
Okay, but they've disbanded the idea of cooling the clouds then.
Yep, that's true.
What was the real reason? Too much moisture?
Yeah, they had problems with downpours and things like this. So the cloud seeding programs, I believe they used silver nitride or something of this
for
sort.
the generators, but then they used dry ice from the aircraft.
Right. Yeah, and they never really got it to work too well. They've tried something similar with hurricanes, and the results haven't been good yet. But it may be a matter of capacity. If they can increase the capacity enough, it might make a difference.
Yeah, that was an idea I was thinking about, to retard a hurricane by dropping great vast quantities of dry ice outside of the eye, and while it's still a small storm.
but it's only a thought.
Yeah.
Thank you for the thought.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
There's a lot of things to think about out there and things to try.
Yeah.
Hi, you're on Glendora's Perspective. Do you have a comment?
Yes, Lois. Some years ago, my husband and I worked on a project just like you're describing, but it was for the bighorn sheep, and it was run by the Fish and Game, and it was really a lot of fun. We did it on a weekend, and they would bring in a helicopter which would have brought in the tanks, and then there would be the supplies would be there, and the rest of us were volunteers, and we'd dig the hole, and we'd do this and that and the other thing. And we read about it in the paper, and I'm sure that you would get lots and lots of volunteers to help on a project like this.
And there is a Bighorn Institute in Palm Springs.
Pardon me?
There is a Bighorn Institute branch in Palm Springs.
Well, we're Glendora residents, and we read about it in our local newspaper, and we went to the Chocolate Mountains, and we went over around Las Vegas once, and there was always, the forest people were there. They would put out signs, you know, like, they were really red stakes. They were stakes with red little flags on them.
You know, recently they had an article in the Tribune about a man that rents out his goats in the hills, and it was somewhere close, maybe Monrovia. Chino?
Chino is where he's based.
Yes. Very
Well, thank
interesting.
you for your comments.
That's a source you might want to check out, because it was, I'm sure it would have a lot of community support.
Oh yeah.
I think so. We're going to work on
I
it.
have a whole list of organizations here that might be interested.
And I hate to tell you, but we're down to about 2 minutes.
Uh-oh.
Well, hang on.
So we have to talk fast.
Okay.
We lost our caller. Okay.
Well, it's been very interesting.
It's been very interesting, and obviously people who watch us are interested also, and maybe that's enough to begin to, pardon the expression, fuel some interest in this and get this thing rolling.
Well, there may be corporate sponsors as well, because, for instance, Quail Unlimited has a number of corporate sponsors.
Right. And the idea of
the
insurance is wonderful. What a
I like
thought.
that idea.
I do too.
Okay.
Because I'm in the hills.
Yeah.
Well, I think we are running out of time. I hope you'll come back and keep us posted on this.
Yes.
We'll do what we can to circulate the information. We do have a few contacts here in Glendora, and we'll work on it.
And this gentleman here, Mike Archer, we met at a street fair.
Yes.
When it
which
was
is
on
now a farmer's market.
Yes.
Tomorrow
And,
night, folks, right outside of City Hall. Please participate.
Right. And we thank you so much for joining us, and please take care of the pets in this hot weather. We're going into closed session.
We'll see you next
God bless.
week.
Next week we'll be with you. And thank you.
Good.